Hello, I'm doing an additional review on this FlySky FS-IT4. I've owned it for a couple weeks now. I've been using it. Figured I'd do a follow-up review on it. One of the features that I liked, I just broke in a brand new motor, right? I'm working on this Trackstar Seg Series 0.21 turbo button. I really like it, by the way, even though it's only 3-port. I like that it tells me that so far I ran 3.21 miles on it. I think that's pretty cool. It tells me the voltage of what my LiPo battery is putting out to my servos. I like that the thermometer, the temperature on there is pretty good. It'll fluctuate a lot. If my garage gets cold, the temperature will drop. If my garage stays warm, the temperature will rise. While I'm riding this buggy around, I'm just breaking in still, not really pounding on it yet. It'll always tell me the temperature of the motor, and it gives good readings, because as I was breaking it in, I saw ranges from like 170 on like 3 tanks, and then it went to 190. And lately it's been running between 195 and 200. I have confidence that it's working well. I like the majority of things about it are pretty cool. I like the wheel. It's soft. It swings out if you need it to. I don't use it. One of the features as a nitro guy is you can assign these buttons, but specifically for nitro guys, there's this. I assigned this to help me start my motor. Nitro up. So it's a throttle up. So it opens the carb about 20%. Alright, so I turn it on. When I put it in the bump box, it helps it start. That's one of a really nice feature to it. You guys have probably seen the screen before a lot. Whoops. And how it's all touch and it swings back and forth. There's a lot of stuff on this controller that I don't need. I will be honest about that. But it's kind of nice. Maybe if I get a boat, I'll use this controller, and then I can use some of those settings. Maybe I'll get a crawler and I can use some of these other settings for mixers I mean. But I do like the throttle exponential, and I like the throttle neutral and the throttle curve. I think that's pretty awesome. You can adjust that. But I mean, it's getting a little crazy. Steering speed you can mix. Sorry, that's my Savox servo winding there. It's often a complaint from other hobbyists. It seems to work very well. That particular servo is really beefy. It's the SC-1268. And that's designed for LiPos. I have this glitch buster still installed, because on this one I'm using a high-tech, and it's not really meant for LiPo, so I'm using this to help out that situation. The drawbacks on this controller, let's talk about them, eh? One of the things that I don't like is I don't like that the transmitter in this box is huge. It doesn't even fit. It's the transmitter itself is so, receiver, I'm sorry guys. The receiver is so wide that it spreads my box out, and you can't see it, but the sides are swelling out and the lid doesn't fit securely. I have for reading the RPMs, I have the magnet. Let me show you this magnet. And let me turn that off. This is the magnet that I'm supposed to use. The idea is the magnet on a spinning object passes through the sensor that I installed over here, and it reads your RPMs. Well, it's hard to install on anything to where it's actually going to stay on. I super glued it. Still came off. And where are you going to fit the sensor and this magnet on a rotating item to be able to read RPM? You could get the other one where it reads paint. Like if I put paint on the rim, and as the rim passes the sensor that reads it, an optical reader, it would tell me the RPMs. But look how dirty. I haven't even really put this in the dirt that often. I did like 3 runs on some gravel. That was it. And look how dirty that rim is. So when it gets really dirty, how is the optical reader going to work? So this is what I decided to do. That's a giant magnet. Remember, the magnet that came with the kit was that big. That little, I should say. And that's 2 of the magnets. Okay? That's 2 magnets together that is supposed to do the job. This is like a earth magnet. It's considered to be a little stronger, or a whole lot stronger. So I glued it here, and my sensor, where my finger is at, I know it's hard to see, is right here. So as it passes, it'll catch it. I just installed that tonight. I had to figure out something better than what I was using. To be honest with you, knowing your RPMs, it doesn't really help, because you gotta realize you're driving and RPMs are fluctuating all the time. If it gave me like a graph, a readout of, I just turned it off. If it gave me a graph or a readout, that would help. But it doesn't provide me a spreadsheet. That's one of my negatives. The other negative is the grip. It's a good quality grip. They give you a secondary grip too, and it's the same. So I'm wondering why they gave you 2 of the same grips. But for the money, this is a $130 controller. I love it. I really do. I love the controller to death. It's super lightweight. I like that there's a LiPo battery in there. I went like a full week without having to recharge it. The input's really sensitive, and I haven't adjusted all. I mean, I haven't set all these buttons up because I have no need for it, since it's a nitro buggy, and I don't need to put all that time and effort and adjust. I mean, giving these specific assignments, because the buggy wouldn't even be able to use it. So I think that if you're going to race a nitro, it's an awesome controller. A bit much as far as setting wise. You're not going to need the majority of them, but you could save up to 30 models on this. So as you graduate in other cars like crawlers and whatnot and boats, you can continue to carry the controller around. I haven't had any problems with binding it to other transmitters. Other receivers. I keep mixing that up. And I have some spare receivers that I bought right away, and I bound them all to this and gave them different assignment models to just test it out. I really like this light foam padding on the wheel. It's just not glued well, so when you get yours, you do have to glue it. I still haven't glued mine down. Just haven't really thought about it, but it gets a little irritating that it slides back and forth, so that's another negative. The screen, it's delicate. It's easy to scratch. The plastic, it comes with plastic over it, but mine wasn't sensitive enough to pick up on it. This thing right here, I don't like it. I don't like it. Not a big fan of it. Maybe because the screen is pretty big and it reacts better with your finger than it does the stylus. That's what I got so far in this controller. I would give it a strong 4 out of 5. I really would. I love the controller. Just those minor little negatives, and that's it. Huge plus. I love I was talking about it before, but temperature sensor, I love that. RPM sensor, I only put it on there because people wanted to know how it worked. I'm being honest. It would be useful if it provided some kind of spreadsheet. It doesn't. But the thing that I do like is the mileage. At least I know the mileage on my motor. So every time I switch a motor out, I'll be able to know like how many miles does it have. So for this Trackstar, and I've really taken my time breaking it in, and I've been gentle with it. Once I start racing it, I'll have an accurate idea how many miles can be put on a little motor like this. I find that I'm a geek in that sense, so I'm really ecstatic to know stuff like that. That's pretty much what I got on this controller. If someone asked me if they should buy it, I would say, hell yeah, get out there and buy one. So like I said, it's a 4 out of 5, and there's not many controllers out there that you're gonna be able to go and buy that can do everything that this controller can do at the end of the day. Does it charge USB? I like that feature. I didn't think I would care, but seeing how everything is charged by a USB port, I really like it. The ease of that. That was good thinking. In that it's incredibly lightweight. I love that feature. If you wanted to, you could have it hang around your neck. It probably wouldn't bother you too much, but it's nice when you're racing because it's really lightweight and it's not really, you're not really thinking about holding something in your hand. For the money, you really can't beat it. And it's not like one of those things where you say, oh, for the money, it's all right, you know, it's good for the money. For the money, it's outstanding. It's an outstanding product by FlySky, and I would encourage people to go out and buy it if they're looking to work with a budget. I'm always a budget racer, probably because I got 2 kids and I'm in the Army, so money is definitely something I gotta keep in my mind, and these hobbies get a little expensive, so I try to think about that. So if you're kind of in my situation where you do, get out and get one of these controllers, man, hands down, and enjoy it. Do buy a couple of receivers, like any controller. Always buy a couple of receivers as a backup because they're cheap. But this controller, it's only like $11 for new receivers. There's fail safes that's a positive. Fail safe you can set from your controller. Huge positive, because one of my receivers, I accidentally yanked the antenna out of it, not even realizing that I was being too aggressive with it. Because the receiver's so big, I was fighting it to sit in this box, and I pulled that up and I pulled it out, but not enough to pull the whole antenna out of this box. But I did pull it out of the receiver. I drove it about 50 meters wide open, and then it literally came to a stop. And I thought that I blew the transmission or something. And then as I got within 20-some meters of it, or 25 yards, it started to work. It started to react to me, and I drove it back to me. And when I took it apart, I found out that I accidentally pulled the antenna out of it. So the failsafe definitely does work. It's a huge positive because this is a buggy that it's hard to come by, and I love it. It's this Sabre X3. Love the shit out of this car, man. It's a great car. It's pretty much a brand new build too. All right. I hope that if anybody was thinking about getting one of these, this helped clear their mind, whether they're going to buy one or not. Huge thanks to FlySky for putting out such a fantastic product. I did use the GTS3B, and I like that one, but I'm in love with this controller. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great week, great night, great evening, great weekend, whatever it may be.